chief goal of the Denver Obscurantism Society, for those unfamiliar with it, is to turn your brain into sludge. I'm going to recite now the 10 tenets of the Denver Obscurantist. The deepest hour. It was my friend. It crouched there at the end of the alley, shrouded by its cloak and mist, and around it gathered its colorful servants, pale and spastic, with stripes upon their limbs. They had big, toothy grins, eager to meet me. And as for it, well, it was chipper as ever, its yellow eyes permeating everything in the scene beyond the molding cement and drywall. 1. The Denver Obscurantist is, first and foremost, capable of critical thought regarding social structures and temporal cause and effect. It stood at 7 feet before the decrepit wooden fence, a victim of the ceaseless rains which afflicted the region now more than ever. I could make out vaguely the contours of its attire, the ridges and prominences of the lush velvet fabric that encircled it. This was held up by a metallic brooch upon its shoulder, a sort of hawk's crescent. The fence was blown abruptly by a gust, creaking open 2 inches perhaps beyond my friend. The lock on the gate clattered slightly. The servants made their usual chirrups and whispers, folding themselves into the friend's garment with surprising agility. They were pleased at its stature and at their position. 2. Denver Obscurantism as a movement is rooted in DIY culture, punk culture, underground culture, and any other esoteric culture which proliferates and persists in secret despite the ongoing interests of the mainstream. Beyond the gate could be seen the garden, the old garden which never saw any visitors, whose fountain was long dry, which stood in an area with no development, encircled on all sides by the tall stories which peered down, their windows like a million insect things, all humming brightly in unison. Yet the garden saw no light. My friend vaguely beckoned toward me, and I followed it, my shoes silent against the ancient bricks and stones which comprised the walkway. 3. The Denver Obscurantism Society is dedicated primarily to the collection, promotion, and categorization of the offbeat, overlooked, underappreciated, and generally obscure. The more obscure a piece, the more value it carries. The garden was overgrown with weeds, a jungle place, thick and impermeable, with moss and rock and wet stones tossed unpredictably askew, and hemmed in forever by the city which did not know it. The friend kept staring ahead with the 2 unwavering holes in what it referred to generously as its face, and beckoned me further into the square, toward a bench upon which we sat. I stared right ahead at the fountain, which still gathered dust and leaves in its neglected pool, and over its rim billowed trails of ragweed which embedded themselves into it like parasites. 4. The Denver Obscurantism Society stands in opposition to the idea that original ideas do not exist, or that all art is inherently derivative by nature. Rather, it regards the conception of new ideas as vital human behavior. Join Das, eat the fish. 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 5. The Denver Obscurantism Society also stands in direct opposition to the concept known colloquially as death of the author. The Denver Obscurantist believes that while art is subject to interpretation by its consumers, a living artist should always be respected as a primary source of meaning and respected as a person. My friend did not speak. It merely communicated through its demeanor, its posture, and several other minute signifiers which I had been trained to pick up on with as much accuracy as possible. It appeared tired or fatigued tonight, if indeed such a disposition was possible considering the circumstances. The servants now collected themselves in the ritualistic position around the perimeter of the fountain, sitting on their haunches, vague forms in the overgrown crabgrass, eyeless and earless, with only those gaping maws present, snapping every now and again like trout, tasting the air for impurities or variations.
You are under surveillance. 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 You are under surveillance.
6. The Denver Obscurantist is willing to collaborate with fellow obscurantists on creative projects in the literary, visual, or audio realm in the pursuit of creating as much artistic output as logistically possible. Before the slow death, quiet was observed, the sort of natural silence that enshrouds these places. I and the friend collected ourselves, breathing gradually as the wet, open miasma pooled upon our outlines, dew and sickness congealing on the fabric of my waistcoat, a similar dampness gathering on the aforementioned velvet fabric of my friend. 7. Denver obscurantism encourages and relies heavily on alternative forms of communication between members. VHS tapes, compact cassettes, mail order distribution, floppy disks, old 90s software, and printed media, among many others, are vital to obscurantism as an ideal and as an ethos. It raised its hands, and the servants began to vibrate, barely at first. Yet as its hands continued their ascent toward the starless depths above, they trembled uncontrollably as if diseased. A strong wind came about now, a merciless one from the east, whistling in through a small gap between the architecture. It hit me like a dagger through the bloodstream, and my friend all the while remained motionless, its arms at full mast, working its force upon the servants, who began to vomit from their orifices and rip apart at the extremities, their blood and bone pouring through with fury, a tidal effect of viscous wrath. It was as if they were piping bags with frosting. That was the ease with which a friend disposed of them. Brief, insignificant lives now taken, their remains being spent in a formation of viscera upon the wide lawn, which was never witnessed by anyone save my friend and I. 8. The Denver Obscurantism Society recognizes that in the pursuit of new ideas, free thought, freedom of expression, and freedom of speech must be allowed to flourish, and that the above methods of communication are the most effective in the pursuit of free speech and free expression, as well as in the proliferation of new ideas. The weather died down and the silence resumed. I sat and it sat, and the ground slowly consumed the flesh of the servants, feeding upon them in a cycle that would not be broken. The lungs and stomachs all dropped invisibly into the infinite soil, the womb of dirt. My friend made one noise then, a satisfied hiss from somewhere beneath its mask. 9. As a communal organization, any funds donated to the Denver Obscurantism Society will be reinvested for the purchase of creative resources and events. Any Denver Obscurantism Society endorsed media can be printed and sold freely by any member, who may retain 100% of the profit if they so choose. I rose to my feet, gathered myself, and brushed the remaining dew from my neck. My friend remained behind, its 7-foot frame locked into position on the rusted metal bench, trying to recollect something which took place so long ago that memory failed it. I exited through the gate, and as I did, it dropped from its hinges. It remained on the ground. 10. The Denver Obscurantism Society will, unless stated otherwise, meet weekly on Saturdays at the Cheesem Park Pavilion at 7 p.m. for the purposes of media analysis and the free exchange of ideas regarding human expression as it pertains to Denver in the 21st century during a thrilling paradigm shift.
Join Das, eat the fish. Join Das, eat the fish. Join Das, eat the fish. Join Das, eat the fish.